The average American has around $38,000 in personal debt, not counting home mortgages. 1 in 10 Americans think that they'll be in debt forever. Even after the horrible debt crisis of 2008, the cycle of borrowing to buy and then borrowing again has returned in full force for many. And I know if I ask the average person what do they think about debt, they're going to tell me it's a bad thing. But in this video, I want to light a fire under you to motivate you as strongly as possible to get yourself out of debt and to make it a financial priority for you. Assalamu alaikum, my name is Rokenko Ali and welcome to Practical Islamic Finance. Before I start, by law, I have to tell you to like and subscribe. Sorry, it's YouTube law, I have to do it. No, seriously, it really helps if you do, so I appreciate your support. On the topic of getting out of debt, I would be remiss not to mention fundmebff.com, the company I started, which is helping people in the United States get out of interest-bearing loans and replace them with income-based funding that is not a loan. Basically, the person receives funding and in return, they commit a fixed percentage of their income for a fixed period of time. The benefits of this are that a person's payments are always designed to stay affordable, and they have greater financial resilience to go through any financial difficulties, and they gain an agent in BFF that is looking out for their financial well-being, because after all, we can only do well if you're doing well. So check us out at fundmebff.com. Applying is free, it doesn't affect your credit score, and if you qualify, you can receive funding that you can use for basically anything, including getting out of debt and paying off any interest-bearing loans you may have. The benefits of getting out of debt are many. Here are 5 of my favorite benefits to getting out of debt. The first is that it enables you to enjoy all of the money that you earn. Allowing interest to accumulate on your debt is the financial equivalent to burning your own money. And what do I mean by this? If you theoretically burned a pile of money, what has happened? The result is that you have less money, and you have no product or service or experience to show for it. And similarly, when you're getting charged interest, you're having less money as a result, and you have no product, service, or experience to show for it. If you're being charged $50 or $100 or $200 or $1,000 in interest every month, that's money that you're losing without enjoying. You're losing this money that you're working really hard to earn without any product, service, or experience or investment to show for it. Getting yourself out of debt will allow you to enjoy all of the money that you work so hard to earn. The second reason why it's a great idea to pay off your debt is because paying off your debt is actually a great investment. A lot of financial advisors, commentators, planners, they like to point out that there's something called good debt and bad debt. And they argue that if the money that you borrowed is generating a return that is higher than the interest rate that you're paying on that money that you borrowed, then this is good debt. And I'm here to tell you that that's not entirely accurate, because it neglects to take into account the level of risk of the particular investment that you've used the borrowed money for. You see, the quality of any investment can't be judged by the return alone. You have to take into account the level of risk. And only after you compare the ratio of the return versus the risk can you make an accurate comparison between two investments. Now, you may be asking, what's the return on investment if you pay off an interest-bearing loan? Well, the return is whatever the interest rate is. And by the way, paying off your debt is a zero-risk investment that will yield a guaranteed return forever. Consider the following example. Let's say you owe $1,000 and there's a 5% interest rate on that debt. Now consider these two scenarios. The first scenario is that you pay off the $1,000 debt. So now you're done with the interest payments, no more interest is accumulating on you. Scenario 2 is that you make a $1,000 investment in a zero-risk investment that pays 5% guaranteed forever. From a cash flow perspective, both investments are equivalent. In both cases, you parted with $1,000 of your money in order to cover the interest payments on your debt. In other words, when you pay off a debt that has a 5% interest rate, it is as if you've made a zero risk investment that's going to pay you a guaranteed return of 5% forever. So now if someone comes and says, well, if you use that $1,000 in the stock market instead of paying off your debt, you're going to earn an average return, at least historically, the data suggests that you'll earn an average return of 8% annually. So it makes sense for you to invest your money in the stock market rather than pay off the 5% loan, because you're going to earn 8% in the stock market and only 5% if you decide to pay off your debt. This is not entirely accurate because the stock market does not offer a guaranteed return. Annually, the stock market volatility is around 20%. There's a lot of risk when you invest in the stock market. So this 8% can't be just compared with the 5%. The expected return of 8% with 20% volatility has to be compared with the expected return of 5% with 0% volatility. Only when you take in risk along with return can you make an accurate comparison between two investments. Now, when you look to how the market normally values zero risk investments and what returns people normally get from zero risk investments, the closest thing to a zero risk investment that the market offers is a US Treasury bill. And US Treasury bills typically pay around 2%, so basically inflation. So when you're paying off a loan that has an interest rate that is greater than 2%, you're making a zero risk investment that is yielding you a return that is higher than any other zero risk investment available on the market. The third reason why it's a great idea to get yourself out of debt is to enjoy your life more. According to a recent survey, money is the dominant source of stress for 44% of Americans, dramatically outpacing personal relationships at 25% and work at 18%. More than half of Americans report feeling anxious about money often or all the time. The pleasure that one gets from buying something is fleeting. But if they bought that thing with borrowed money, the stress that comes with carrying that debt remains with that person 24 hours a day, 7 days a week until they pay that debt off. The anxiety of carrying debt has been well documented to have profound negative effects on a person's health, on their personal relationships, on their social life, and generally their overall level of happiness. So you owe it to yourself, you owe it to your family, to your friends, to make getting out of debt a financial priority for you. The fourth reason why it's a great idea to get out of debt is to earn more money. Studies have shown that worrying about an upcoming bill can lower a person's IQ level by 13 points, or one full standard deviation. That's the equivalent of losing one full night's sleep. This is logical because worrying about upcoming bills occupies some of your mental bandwidth, and that leaves less available resources to do other tasks. It's analogous to texting while driving. Your driving performance is going to suffer because part of your mental bandwidth is being occupied by texting. Similarly, your effectiveness at work will likely suffer because part of your mental bandwidth is being occupied with thinking about how you're going to pay your upcoming bills. Additionally, financial stress causes sleep apnea, illness, marital problems, all of which impede your effectiveness during your income earning activities. So getting out of debt will not only save you money, but it will also enhance your income earning abilities. The fifth reason why it's a great idea to get out of debt is a reason that I mention often on this channel, and that is to live ethically. In most of the major religions, especially Islam, interest is prohibited in the strongest terms. The Prophet, peace be upon him, cursed the person who collects interest, the person who pays it, and the person who writes its contract. And there are multiple other instances in the Quran and the Hadith where interest is prohibited in the strongest of terms. So getting out of debt and stopping your dealing with interest will give you the mental comfort of knowing that you're not engaged in an activity that is strictly prohibited in your religion. Other than refinancing, there are some legitimate reasons why one may need financing. But I encourage you, if you are in a position where you need financing, to avoid interest-bearing loans. They are fundamentally a flawed product. I encourage you instead to consider alternatives such as the income-based funding that FundMe BFF offers. I know this sounds self-serving, but it's what I'm truly convinced with. I hope I've motivated you in this video to rid yourself of debt, live financially free, and most importantly, I hope I've motivated you to take action to rid yourself of any interest-bearing loans that you may have. This has been Practical Islamic Finance. Until next time, take care of yourself. Assalamu alaikum and peace be upon you all.